Almost feels like we should start with an opening prayer, but we've already prayed. We already prayed in our hearts, and this is it. We're rolling, and this is awesome. I'm very excited to kind of spotlight you. Oh, that's better. Now I can see you,
Oh,
Casey. This is awesome. Thanks for being available on not just short notice, but immediate notice.
idiot. Dude, I've been asking you to do this for a long time.
Yes,
So
yes,
let's
that's
do it.
right.
Yeah.
Um, So you look, I'm loving the background. I love where you're at. You look like you're in the waiting room of maybe not the Celestial Kingdom, but maybe the Telestial Kingdom. I bet that's what that looks like. You know what I mean? It looks
Yep.
awesome on camera. Is
So
that, go ahead.
let me just explain a little bit about this room. This is
Okay.
very special for me. And I apologize if I break down and I start crying a little bit,
Okay.
but this room was built for my son when he was 2 years old, um, had an adverse reaction to a vaccine, and he developed a condition called neutropenia. So his he wasn't able to develop neutrophils, which are in your blood count. That's like very, very, very special to combat bacterial infections.
Okay.
So he started coughing and coughing, 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 and
Wow.
it was never ending. It was
This is
every
your,
month.
and sorry,
My
this is your
oldest
son,
son,
Hank.
Hank,
This is
yeah,
Hank. All right. And
yeah.
this was when he
So
was, how old again?
two.
Okay. This is when he was 2.
So it was pretty much like he was on a menstrual cycle with pneumonia, coughing, 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 coughing
Really?
until he was about 8. And then my in-laws just said, "Hey, why don't you look into halotherapy and maybe consider like incorporating that into part of your practice?" And so this is why this room, I'll pan you around here. Hold on
Yeah.
for
Oh, that's
my wife.
awesome.
My wife built this room for
Okay.
my son,
Yeah.
and he's almost 14 right now at this point and doing fantastic. So
So tell me, the tell me about the rocks, or tell me about some of the unique properties
yeah,
of that
yeah,
room.
yeah. So Molly built out this room with the lattice, like the woodwork, but all of these pieces up here are salt from Pakistan, actually. And we have rock salt down here where kids get to come play in the sand with toys and stuff like that.
Wow.
But the whole benefit of the therapy is there's the machine on the outside of the wall that grinds up pharmaceutical grade salt
Okay.
and blows it into the room. And so this whole room actually becomes a dust of salt where you can breathe it in. So anyone with emphysema, uh, COPD, asthma,
Yeah.
like any respiratory, like anything respiratory, you hear a sniffle or a cough, you come in this room. So
And this is
anyway,
what's described as halotherapy.
yeah, halotherapy.
And this helped Hank to start to recover from and heal from his
Yeah,
condition.
yeah.
That's amazing.
And he's almost 14 now. I can count back on my hands, the times that I've actually been like, oh, he's sick. And this has been pretty cool.
This
So
is
that's the history of my background. If you're looking at me right here, like I'm sitting in this room. This is my Halo room because this is Hank's room.
I am so glad. Thank you for sharing. You had the last time I had visited you, which would also be the first time. No, 2 years ago.
October. Yeah, 2 years ago.
It was October. Wow, we're
Yeah.
right on track. I had bits and pieces of that story, and I really am glad that you got into a little more detail. It puts my background to shame. There's nothing special at all. Oh, I lost you there. Lost the camera. Here, let's now you can start your video. I don't know what it's doing. Did I lose you? You're muted too, by the way. Okay, wait a minute. There we go. Now you can unmute. I don't know why I can't make you a co-host. Well, right now it's just me.
All right,
Okay, there we
I'm
go.
back.
Great. Yeah, we're back. Okay. Sound, lights, and the whole thing. My background is literally my room. I do have a picture that I printed off of my printer and tacked it up onto a little whiteboard. It's the famous. It's kind of a like an Americana classic Western photo of the lone cowboy in front of Monument Valley.
Nice.
And I printed it off. I like it. It's a great photo. But I had stayed one time on the way home, passing through Cedar City. I stayed in a Super 8, and in the Super 8, all of the rooms were kind of decorated unique to the landscape actually. And this was like gigantic on the wall, which was surprising for a Super 8. Super 8s are usually like not considered, I don't know, the nicest. It's like a little low budget. Anyway. That's the story from my background. I wanted to ask you a couple of things, and then I wanted to have do a little running commentary on some of the awesome. There was so much in the thread today, on the message thread, and I wanted to talk about it.
Dude, it's so much. We're abundantly blessed with so many intelligent conversations that happen on the thread.
Yes. And here's what I want to say about that.
Yeah.
Abundantly blessed with intelligence, and then also on the other end of the spectrum, complete idiocy. Just like not immature, you know what I mean? But like sometimes it just goes straight. And I mean within a couple of message bubbles, it'll go from fairly deep, intellectual, vulnerable, much like the way we launched right into this recording today. You're like, actually, there's a story connected to this background. The thread will be that, something very, someone will share something very poignant,
Okay.
vulnerable, and
Yes,
in the next leap, it'll be something like, it'll be a trash talking on Caitlin Clark or something. So yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, it's just I know that you have way much of a story to tell about yourself to build up to like this point where we would like even attempt to make a podcast.
Oh, like life story stuff?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
I once saw I once saw a meme not that long ago, and I'm already annoyed with the way that I started that, but there was a meme I saw that said anybody that uses the word journey to describe their life probably has some type of run-in with the law enforcement in their background. Actually, what it said was, the meme was this: anyone that uses the word journey to describe their life probably has a DUI.
Yep.
Which is hilarious, and maybe I can identify with that a little bit, like a little. Yeah, I guess like my life is, my life's been a journey. Here's what's interesting about the thread. So some of the guys on the message thread, and I'll bring this back to, I'm not avoiding your question at all, but I want to give like context, because when we were all in Provo together, all the BYU guys, and I was kind of the outlier. Not that I felt like that, but like I wasn't in terms of attendance at BYU. I'm not a BYU alum.
Yeah.
But good friends with Mark and Tyson, and thereby Carson, and like moved into that apartment at the Condo Row apartment. And then there were all these other guys. So, and I had taken Matt Gertch's spot in the apartment back when everybody.
Because he got married real quick.
He got married real quick.
Real quick.
real quick,
To a
and
wonderful woman named Doreen. She's awesome.
okay, and I don't want to go off on too big of a tangent. I like where the conversation's going. I do want to make mention though, since we're talking about it, we've got we've got a visitor, and we've got some people popping in. This is kind of great. Oh, look at
Nice.
that! This is our first special guest, ladies and gentlemen, all the
Let's see
way from the tops of the mountains, Brad Packer. There we go. Wait a minute. Move the spotlight. There's Brad. Independence Day.
Mention was made of the movie Independence Day, and I realized I have still to this day 3 movie posters from Independence
Yes.
Day that I've had since 1996. All 3 of them were on my bedroom wall from 7th grade through college. I don't know what that says about me, but when Casey says, why don't they make them like they used to that, I say, yeah, why don't they?
Well, what it says about you is that you might be a hoarder. That's what that says. But
That absolutely is true.
I'm obviously kidding.
But an observer and a very, very intelligent person that says those are great movies right there.
Those are great movies. And so what you're telling, agreed, and Brad, what you're telling us is those posters that are tacked up on your wall with blue painter's tape, by the way.
That's
Those
right.
are the posters you've had since you were young, is what you're saying. Amazing. They don't make movies like that anymore. And so if you're just joining, Brad, which you are, we've already had, within the first 11 minutes, we've had a broad range of topics. And we had
And Kendall, you need to finish your story.
yeah, so Casey had asked me about kind of my life's trajectory, which lands me at this point right now in this moment with the 3 of you. And I was describing the unorthodox and unlikely circumstances by which we all became friends. So I knew Tyson and Mark, and I moved into the condo row apartment, taking Matt Gertch's spot in the apartment. This is in Provo. Everyone's at BYU. I was not attending BYU. I was briefly trying to attend Utah, what's now Utah Valley University, but at that time in my life, I had 0 academic discipline. I had some other disciplines and some other like scattered. I just couldn't. The school thing at that time, I couldn't get into.
Comedy.
Go ahead.
Comedy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did a little bit of improv comedy, I followed that.
You were great at.
A little. Thanks. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. But this is what I was leading up to. Not all of this to say, and Brad, maybe you can weigh in on this. So I didn't actually I don't remember, Casey, getting to like know you very well. We were always around each other. We've certainly, over the course of the years since, we know each other now. We're like brothers, I would say. I didn't really spend a lot of time with you then. I was usually running around getting into antics with Tyson and Brad or whatever it was that we were doing. So you, Casey, and Seth are guys that like I knew were around. I'd heard all the stories. I've heard all the legends. I felt like I knew you, but now many years later we're close friends. Would you say, what would you have to say about that, Brad? Did I remove his ability to unmute himself? This is where we roast Brad and he can't unmute. Here, now you can unmute yourself, Brad. Go ahead.
Feeling like a ghost. You guys are just making comments and I'm wanting to scream out into the world.
Yeah.
You are right. I think that we were all fortunate to have that connection be made. And for those of us that lived with you or lived by you, we got to experience the phenomenon that is Kendall immediately. And it was Casey and others that were blessed with it later down the road. But it was very obvious from the beginning that Kendall was the life of the party, fun to be around, knows a lot about a lot. You could engage him in any conversation. He'd have an opinion, he'd have a viewpoint, and was always able to convey it in an interesting, concise manner. I don't know how much that feeds into improv, where you don't want to lose your audience by saying too much or saying something that's not interesting. And so you could always be in the room with Kendall and know you were not going to be bored.
all very polite versions of saying complete spaz. That's what I took. I'm highly complimented. That's a very thank you for saying those things. I felt like, especially in the years since, that's something that could easily be said. And the way I take a compliment is I deflect, but I do appreciate kind words. So don't think I'm trying to dodge the compliment. But I think the same of each and every all the individuals on the BYU crew message thread. With the exception of Eric, might be the exception to that. I think Eric is the one person who's the communist. What were you gonna say? I'm just kidding. Obviously. What
I
were you
just
gonna
love
say?
that. I love that Chambers wakes up in the morning and he's just not expecting anything to go negatively his way, and then he just catches strays on the text.
Yeah, he's like, what?
He's like, what? I was just minding my own business, and all of a sudden, Kendall's saying,
Right.
"What about me?"
Here's
Yeah.
what I'll say about my passing through BYU at that time. I was roommates with Trent and Tyrell and some other guys, and wasn't completely connected with you guys, but all along the way it was like we were always connected, and we lived close to each other. We lived life together, and I didn't know you, Kendall, like until I met you, and I was like, yeah.
You're like, who is this? Who is this?
No, I was like, yeah, I get Kendall 100%.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the first time that we met. Because first of all, it feels like we've always known each other, and we probably
Right.
have. And so I don't remember that, but I just remember my memory now is that it's as though we've always known each other. And I'm gonna really quickly. I want to find out. I've seen two children come in and out of your window there, Brad. One was shirtless, and the
Clara.
other.
I saw Clara. Who was the other one, Brad?
Should be.
So right here, we got Dean,
Dean.
we got
Dean.
Clara.
Nice.
And they're very interested in something, because I brought down all my movie posters, and right
Hey,
here,
Dean. Clara. Hey, guys.
this was a gift from Warcup. Top 100 movies of all times and genres. It
Oh,
definitely is
wow.
not the top 100 movies, but I've gone through and tried to scrape out all the ones that I have seen, and I don't count it if I have like kind of seen most of it years ago. It's something I have to have watched start to finish all the way through. And so yeah, so whenever this comes out, they're always like, ooh, and they're zeroed in on it to see what's going on.
Nice.
You guys won't see Psycho anytime soon. Probably not Platoon either. Definitely not Pulp Fiction.
Brad, the two children next to you, it's Clara, and who's the other one that's there?
Dean.
That's Dean.
Mhm.
Here's my question about Clara and Dean. I don't think I've met them in person. I've heard all the stories. I've heard the legend. Would you be willing to tell us something about Dean and Clara individually? Something that may be like a lesser known fact, or maybe like a hidden talent or something that you'd like to highlight about them. First of all, tell us which one's your favorite. I'm kidding. Tell us, I want to know some one or two lesser known facts about Dean and Clara.
So actually, oops, I just took it off my Bluetooth so I'd be able to hear. Oh, they're going. Dean is kind of the most low maintenance, easygoing, considerate kid I know.
Okay.
He's someone who's always aware of if there's someone left out, there's someone who's feeling kind of outside of inclusivity.
Okay.
He's the one that brings them into the circle.
Nice.
I
And he's
love
just
that.
aware of that stuff. And because of that, like everyone loves being around Dean. And Clara is you have stolen the remote. Clara knows more
I will
about,
say that I know for a fact that Clara is one of the most read persons on this planet.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
She's a voracious reader.
Yes.
Clara
Clara's awesome.
Okay.
Clara reads a ton and therefore knows a lot about a lot, kind of like you, Kendall. And so if you ask her, mostly with history, like, hey,
tell us about the Donner Party, and she'll tell you how they prepared each other's bodies to consume.
I've almost made some kids throw up.
The Louisiana Purchase,
I did. My teacher asked me to give a 30-minute talk on that.
Revolutionary War, Hamilton, and also like
Lafayette.
music. Like the other day on YouTube, I pulled up a thing where it's like, here was like the #1 Billboard song of the year for the last like 50 years.
History music is
And we just put on that YouTube video, and Clara knew the vast majority of them, especially from like 1975 onward.
Dad, I'm actually, sometimes I'm a genius.
Kendall, once upon a time, you described my dog Buddy as having so much energy that if you found a way to harness that energy and use it to power the country and the world, that we would have enough energy to last us for eons, millennium, decades, whatever the case may be. This is the human equivalent of energy.
He can't even keep his shirt on. He's got so much energy.
Puppy love and puppy.
This guy is non-stop. This little man here.
And that is.
I knew Buddy. I got to know
contrary
Buddy.
to earlier, he actually is wearing underwear at this time.
Oh, okay. Casey, what were you saying?
First, but fortunately,
I knew Buddy. Yeah, Brad's Buddy. I knew Buddy. Like, I knew that guy.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, Casey, say one more thing that you had with Buddy that I didn't. Not that we wanted to take this discussion in that direction.
That was actually one of the worst days of my life.
What happened?
I was actually there when Buddy died.
Oh, wow.
I was in between transition between going from BYU to chiropractic school, and I got to stay at Brad's parents' house, and Buddy was Buddy. And
You were
he was
there,
my buddy.
and you were there for the moment that Buddy transitioned out of his life, is what you're saying.
The moment. It was one of the saddest things I've ever experienced.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to have learned a little bit more about your children. We have Clara, the reader. We have Dean, the kind of maybe the observant sort of utility person. I don't know, does that make sense? Kind of a misses nothing, walks quietly, carries a big stick, and we've got who's the ball of energy?
This is Elliot. He's the energy dude.
Elliot.
Okay.
watch out.
This is great. This is
And
really.
you guys are kind to let us jump on and hijack the conversation. We will hop out now to get all these kids to bed, but it was the biggest case of FOMO. Knowing you guys were having a conversation, I could not hop on for at least 10 or 15 minutes to say hello.
It's sort of
Look forward
like
to hearing.
it's sort of like the special celebrity guests that pop in and out.
Brad is the perfect guest for something like this. Love it.
Thank you guys for having me on. Enjoy the rest of your conversation. Love you
Good
guys.
night, guys.
See you guys.
Love ya.
That was awesome. So you've met all those children.
Yes.
Okay.
I seriously like when I talk about Buddy dying, like he was crawling from the backyard, literally shaking like all fours, and we were like, we got to get Buddy in the car and take him to the vet. And Brad's older brother Mike was actually in the house at the time, and threw Buddy in the car, took him to the vet. Unfortunately, we lost him, but those are the kind of things where you're like, man, when it comes to lifetime, like experiences and being with people for years and years and years, Brad grew up with Buddy. That was his dog.
Animals are absolutely are as much a part of a family.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's too easy to be like, it can kind of be a bit of a punchline, or people can kind of be a little bit cynical about it, like, because there's a lot of people that that nowadays have, instead of having children, they have pets, and they consider their pets their children, and everyone has opinions about that. I don't have opinions about that. If you're, I mean, because it's not my business, but I've been around my family. We had cats. My mother and my sister. It's just my sister and I. They were always cat people. My sister was like a cat. Like her first word was cat. You know what I mean? So they were like. So that was one thing that's interesting. Like inherently, people have something in them that they're drawn to. They're drawn to being caretakers of animals. They have a special talent. My sister, just her whole life, if she could, she would rescue all the cats, and just was always growing up. She was always like just bringing cats into the house, like, but like having semi-adopted them from a friend that couldn't take care of them, or you know what I mean. And so the animals that a family grows up around, especially children, they develop a special bond with children. Dogs and cats. And I'm not here to take a stance on either one. They're you can't compare them. Like they're unique, you know what I mean? And so like to get to understand that more, once I understood, because everyone's got a core thing that once you understand that thing about them, you know them. So once I was able to grasp, and maybe I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, but in adulthood, as I was able to kind of rekindle or like just appreciate the relationship with my sister more, and be more curious about her. Once I understood that, oh no, she wakes up every day wanting to save all of the animals. Once you know that, it's like that's who she is. Do you know what I mean? So like, everyone's got at least one thing. And this is something else that I just had this thought last night, and you're a person I think you'd have a unique perspective on. So let me ask you this. Tell me what you think about this. Like, here's how I came to, we're all over the place here, but let me give you my kind of mindset that I've been in the class.
You're dialing in. I see it.
48 hours. So yesterday, one of the things I get to do through my work, I'm a social worker, to describe it concisely, but I work with the homeless, and I work for a large nonprofit organization called PATH. PATH is actually it's an acronym that stands for People Assisting the Homeless. It's that's just what the acronym stands for. So we provide resources and services to people that are unsheltered or experiencing housing instability, or have been literally or chronically homeless for many years. And so one of the things that I get to do is that one of our at our main site downtown, like where our offices are and everything, sometimes I'll get to speak to volunteer groups that come in, either groups of middle school kids or high school summer camps, like people coming in to do volunteer work, and then the community director, like I get to, like they give a tour, and then they get to make food and or donations and provide some kind of service, but I get to speak to them. And so I'm always trying to think of ways to describe because to think about being around the homeless, that is something, especially in large metropolitan areas where it's a growing and overwhelming problem. It's hard to encapsulate, like, I'm always trying to think of ways to describe how it is to like even approach that problem individually. Here's what I think. Tell me what you think of this. Okay, Casey, let me think how to say this. Who in your life, the entire span of your life, loves you the most? Meaning, that there's at least one person that no matter what you did or said, like they're going to love you no matter, you can almost do no wrong in their eyes. They'll always have your back. You may not even particularly like them all the time, but you know that they love you the most.
Oh man.
You don't have to say yet, but just do you have an individual or two, maybe a couple?
Couple.
Okay.
Couple.
Yeah. So like, someone came into your mind immediately, right? Who was the first person who were some of them?
My Heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm.
my mother,
Mm-hmm.
my father, my wife. That, dude, that pegs it right there. Like
Okay.
number one, my heavenly Father, my Savior Jesus Christ. Number two,
Yeah.
yeah,
They love you the most. Okay. Now, who do you, Casey, love the most? And here's what I mean by that. This could be family members. It could be your children. It could be friends. It could be.
okay,
But I mean, not just love, but I mean, I have like they could do no wrong in your eyes, almost to a fault. They call you up. They're in a jail in Tijuana, and you get one phone call, and that's who you're calling, or like just the one person that like you're like I'd do anything, like because like even like does that make sense?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
not suggesting that there's just one, but like you got a couple individuals like that.
yeah.
Who's the first person that you thought of that you like just the most like have their back that you just love? You know what I mean?
Oh man.
And no wrong
Um,
answers. This is free association. It's not like because
I would
and
say, can I pin one, like number one, anyone on the BYU crew?
there yeah that's great because families like yeah family children those are kind of givens.
There you go. I
So
mean,
like
aside from my wife,
right
the BYU crew.
okay yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So my because I feel the same. My theory about this is that we're very fortunate and blessed that we can very quickly come up. We're family oriented people. We have these amazing friendships that have lasted against all odds over many years. Everybody has one.
yeah,
Everybody is one and has one. So I need to be more concise about it, but what I want to point out to people is anybody that you encounter on the street or throughout the day, wherever, but particularly people that we classify as the homeless, each one of those people is the most to somebody and has someone that is there the most.
yep,
Everybody. And
100%.
which for you and I to talk about, we have those names readily available. And the only difference between us and them is that they haven't been reminded in a while. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
That's what I think about that.
yeah.
Because I feel the same, and because I
So,
don't want to just
so
tell. Go ahead.
let me ask you, if when you're out there and you're talking to those people, are you trying to remind them of the ones that are in their life that they can turn to? Like like run me through that. I just want to hear your experience, like when you're out in the street.
So it's not always direct like that. It's more of it starts as a mindset. That's a mindset. So especially if someone's like on my caseload and it's a client that I've engaged with,
Yeah,
and we're trying to get some things accomplished and move things along, and then they become like um, they become frustrating because they haven't had a chance to develop or practice the skills of they haven't lived in a healthy surrounding for a long time
yeah,
for a whole variety of reasons.
tons.
So when
Drugs, alcohol.
because they're also not out there. My job isn't to go out and be a motivational speaker and to
Right.
tell them. I mean, sometimes like once I get to know somebody, we get into some more like personal conversations and we get to like actually like know each other better.
Yeah,
But as the mindset is, I'm like, that's a mindset for me to remember on the days that are particularly like, man, the system's just like, just the days that are the existential, like, I don't know if this is doing any good for anybody. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what anything, like, there's no one to follow. I don't believe any of the leaders, like, that everything feels corrupt. You know what I mean? I don't really feel that. That's why that doesn't feel good. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I know that isn't the case but there's a lot of there can be a lot of objective evidence that to focus on. It's like there's a lot of hopelessness, but that isn't helpful. Does that make sense? So when like if I go out, I cover an area, I cover the riverbed area in San Diego, which is I don't cover the whole San Diego River. The San Diego River itself is 52 miles of riverbed and wetland that runs from the ocean into the East County. I just cover the portion of it that's in San Diego City, and then there's a lot of encampments. It's a place where people end up going to live if they've been homeless for a long time, or if they've been unsheltered, because they can go there to avoid detection, and they can kind of like stay out of harm's way to a certain extent. So all of that to say that most of the people that are on my caseload are people that have been homeless chronically, and it's been a perpetual cycle for over a period, 5 years or more, and the average number of years is like 10 and above. So there's a lot of people that have been out there for a long time.
Holy smokes.
Because it can, like, nobody wakes up and thinks. I mean, we've talked a little bit about, like, we've shared a little bit about like someone that becomes addicted to something. Anyone that identifies as an addict, no matter what it is. It could be an illicit substance, it could be pornographic media, it could be food, anything. Nobody sets out to do that. Nobody sets out to become so dependent on a thing that it's replacing. Addiction is essentially just replacing an unmet need that you have going on inside, and it could be physical, or it could be spiritual, or it could be both. My opinion and my experience is that it tends to be both. But you're trying. So, like, the way it shows up in homelessness is no one sets out to be like. There's a lot of amphetamine. There's a lot of meth. It's actually, I think it's more of an epidemic than, like, say, the opiate crisis. There's a lot of that too. And opiates, they're more potent and you can overdose more quickly. Amphetamine is just a stimulant, hijacks the central nervous system, and helps to just keep you up, gives you a sense of well-being and euphoria. Except it's, you're buying it, people are buying it on the street, and you never know what's gonna, that comes with all sorts of hazards. But it's a survival factor. So if someone's living out on the street and they have kind of a little community, we're inclined to have community, and we're drawn to community, even though the community and the fellowship that we're around might be toxic and hazardous. It's still our people. You know what I mean? It's what we have. And so people are like they tend to kind of watch out for each other's stuff, and you're up at night, and at night is when people are particularly vulnerable to being attacked, to being robbed, to being trafficked, whatever it might be. And so, like, you got to stay up. So you take a hit of meth, and now you're addicted to
stay up.
Yeah, you stay up. So it's like, and then the addiction becomes the thing, because the body, it tricks the brain. That you need that substance for survival.
I just started working with someone that's 39 years old. At age 18, he had a really bad motocross accident, broke his right clavicle, tore 3 of the 4 muscles in his rotator cuff, got sent to the doctor, and was prescribed oxycodone and all the goods, right, for hundreds of pills down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And he straight up, this guy is like one of the most intelligent persons that I have ever met in my life.
Right.
And he just said straight up, he's like, when I ran out of my prescription, I had to go to methamphetamine, heroin, everything on the street.
Right.
And that was his life basically from age 20 to now 39.
Okay.
And now he's coming to me and he's saying, hey, he's like, I know what to do. I know how to cut this. I know how to quit this. Is there anything that I can do to get away from this cycle of addiction and dopaminergic hit? Whether it's pornography, gambling, whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
the
Escape.
drugs, it's the escape. It's like, I'm ready to get out of this, and this dude knows how exactly to do it, but trying to help him now at this point to get him to break out of this cycle is it's a task, man.
That's the problem with the, I shouldn't phrase it like that, but it's what can be
it's
misleading sometimes.
yeah,
I haven't,
it's the concentration on it's where the focus is.
yeah,
Not the problem, but where the focus is.
I can read all of the super fascinating books and literature and medical journals on how the brain works, why
Yep.
the hippocampus and the reward center and the whole bio. I can have a deep and even like detailed understanding of the biochemistry. I know
Yeah.
what's happening. I know what's happening. I even kind of know why, and I can also objectively see how it's become a problem.
Yeah.
It's my experience that someone crosses into, there's no definitive line when someone becomes, what differentiates an addict from a non-addict. I
Right.
don't know, other than at some point a line gets crossed where it's like, I have to do this thing no matter what, even though I know it's going to lead somewhere destructive, or it's going to lead somewhere negative. I'm going to do it anyway.
Right. Well,
Do you know what I mean?
let me ask you this question, Kendall. Does addiction lead into positive lifestyles? Does somebody get addicted to exercise, running triathlons?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Um,
Does it turn into something positive? Like, that's always what I'm trying to explain to my patients at certain points in time, is like, you can direct your energy into negative ways or positive ways. But to me, like, literally, there's something addictive about all of it. Like, you tell me about that.
So I'm a person that identifies, I would describe myself as a recovered addict. I don't often use the term addict, addict or alcoholic, but they tend to mean the same. And
Yeah.
one of the first things that they share with you in like a 12-step meeting setting, like Alcoholics Anonymous or
Yeah.
Narcotics Anonymous or anything that's
Yeah.
based on the 12 steps, is that it's not for me to tell you I can't. I mean, I could diagnose. I could, or for you to tell. Let's do it the other way. You could tell me, hey man, listen. You seem like you got something going on there, and you're having these negative consequences from it. It's like, I think you might have a problem. Like, you can see it, probably the whole world can see it, and even I can see it.
Right.
But using that to describe the only difference that I know to describe like an addict from a non-addict is, I know what the thing is replacing. Like, if that's the difference. So I can't say that like necessarily like, can addiction lead to a positive lifestyle, but the recognition of, oh, like so I'll talk about our friend Matt, since we're talking about triathlon. I don't know. He's driven, he's focused.
Dr. Gurge, Dr. Gurge he's the one that drove me to go into doing a triathlon. Like, that's the reason why I did that last April, and I'm gonna do it in May.
Yeah, that's interesting. So he's so clearly, he's a person that really can has defined, like, what he has obviously is discipline. He's
Right.
a person that has academic discipline, and he really enjoys setting athletic goals for himself and achieving athletic discipline. Discipline beats out motivation.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 times, because how long does motivation last? That's hard to get motivation.
Not long.
But discipline, small little, like, he didn't start out being a triathlete. He started out, running short distances and biking short distances and like,
Yep.
or whatever it is. And this is where you're at. You've identified something that you think is like, that's something that could be rewarding. I would
Right.
like to take part in that. And so now, if your training is unrealistic, like if you like, so this is my experience with what, like, I want to dive in. I I can't just go. I'm not interested necessarily in running the 5K. I want to sign up for the big fancy ultra marathon. I can't run 2 miles continuously right now, but I want to like the grandiosity of a goal. Like there's nothing
Right.
wrong with setting a goal, but there's a whole bunch of little goals you got to set along the way. And so
Right.
if I'm too focused on from zero to ultra marathon, and I'm too focused on the like the if I'm getting too much, like, I don't know, it's kind of cool to say, yeah, I'm training for ultra marathon. People go, ooh.
Well,
Like,
dude, I mean, I'll tell you about my experience when
yeah,
trying. So, Matt, I was down staying at his house because he's such a grateful host and gracious host. In October, when my son was playing baseball down there, and then he was like, he was evangelizing, and he was like, "Hey, you gotta sign up this thing." So I did, and I signed up for it.
yeah, he's compelling.
Yeah, very compelling. And it really was appealing for me because I have been so lazy about my own healthcare as a healthcare practitioner for, let's call it a decade. But he talked me into it, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this thing. So I signed up for it. I started training, and I'm running, biking, trying to get in the pool and swim and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Upon running, I actually fractured my medial tibia. So,
Okay.
like,
You
this
did.
this part of my knee was completely fractured 1 week. No. I'd say 1 month before the event actually was supposed to happen. And
Wow.
that's where I would say that was too aggressive, right? But I can't complain about the pain that I went through and the suffering that I had to go through, because eventually at the end of the day, I went through the whole event, and I could tell you, but 100%, like 10 out of 10, I was on a dopamine rush for like 2 weeks after that.
Yeah. That's fast. That's really interesting. And so, like, now to bring it back to like your, I guess, original question, it's like, if the obsession now to continue to train starts to interfere with, like, if you're taking more time away from your practice at work, and
Right.
you're skipping the, you're skipping out on family time, like that's where it becomes, that just means that it's replacing something that you haven't identified. There's something going on that you haven't identified. I'm not sure that that's what you're describing, but the difference between something that has the potential to become an addiction, or just like there's a fine line. And so because you identified the reward, what we know now about dopamine is that it's not necessarily that there's a reward, but it's the brain, it's the biochemistry, it's the body telling us that, like, this is something worth pursuing. And so the shortcut and the lie of addiction is that this substance or this unhealthy thing
Yeah.
is a shortcut, and it's exciting
Yeah.
at first, but then
I-
the pursuit of the exciting thing beats out everything else.
I honestly think there's an intimate link between, like, what I experienced last April and doing that triathlon to what I had grown up with in high school, playing baseball and basketball and golf and, like, doing all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there had been such a lapse between that time that when I engaged in that again, like, there was just something so rewarding about it. And it's just, I'm not going out there to win the race, or, I just want to go exercise. And that's something I have not felt for a long time, which has been pretty cool.
So you're talking, yeah, when you say finding the joy in exercise, finding the joy in the journey, you're taking greater pleasure in the small and daily consistent action. And so when a person comes, like you were talking about the patient that you have or the client that you have now, that's like trying to find the sufficient substitute for
Yep.
for the objectively unhealthy thing. Because what happens in that type of extreme addiction is that it's actually not so much the high or the dopamine release or the euphoria or whatever it is. It's the avoidance of the withdrawal, the fear of the withdrawal period.
100%. Let me just pipe in right there. This guy, love him to death. He's such a cool dude. But he has straight up told me, he's like, listen, I'm gonna come to your clinic. I'm gonna be high as a kite. I might be on fentanyl. I might be on meth. I might be on heroin. But just know that I understand what I'm trying to do to get off of these things, and I'm doing this myself. And he's like, I just want your help.
Like he's not doing it for his spouse. He's not doing it to get out of it. He's doing it for himself.
He's doing it for himself. And,
Got it.
And that is so powerful.
That's where a lot of people, many people who have recovery from addiction as part of their deal, that's a turning point. There's a lot of compelling reasons to do it for someone else. I don't want to lose my family. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to lose my job. I want to stop getting fired from jobs. Like whatever it might be, like the consequences. But what's going on inside of a person is that they have lost the ability to live with the choices that they've made.
Yep.
The substance, the alcohol, the drugs, the escape thing, the distracting thing. It distracts me from the choices that I've made.
Yeah.
Alcohol and drugs never made me do make any bad life choices. I made those choices. Because but then the escape is, I don't know, my existence has become relatively intolerable. I don't know what the sufficiency does. It turns out the actual sufficient substitute is a spiritual connection with in 12-step non-denominational land, they would say higher power. We would say God in the church, and in our doctrine we would directly attribute that power to not just Heavenly Father, but we're connected to our Heavenly Father through the power of Jesus Christ.
Yep.
That's not a super popular thing to talk about in the general non-denominational rooms of recovery. It could be, and it is for a lot of people. But at first, before a person gets into like the finer points of like doctrine, the first thing there needs to be, and this is also doctrinal, is there needs to be willingness. So you've described this person as like, I'm coming to you because I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So he has a willingness, even though the answer might not be like, he's just willing. So the seed of willingness is planted, and now faith is starting to take hold because he's willing to do whatever's asked. Right?
Yep.
Would you say that's how that works?
100%.
That's interesting.
It's a very individual task to be able to say, I'm in charge of my own happiness, and I'm not going to blame it on anything else. The addiction is what it is. Like, I can apologize for that happening in my life, but now's the time. Like, I'm just going to push through that thing, you know.
Right.
There's a ton of power that comes through that. It's like, I'm responsible for my own happiness. I want to create my own joy, the peace in my life, and being able to move through that. It's so powerful, man.
Yeah, there has, what they'll say in 12-step land is willingness, honesty, open-mindedness are the essentials of recovery. And the reason that is that if we're going to attribute doctrinal truth, and I believe that eventually you can't go too much further describing spiritual solutions. If there's a spiritual illness, and we're going to talk about the realm of the spirit, eventually we're going to need to state truth. But we don't need to, it's like anyone that you ever taught on or that we ever taught on our missions. We don't need, we can't start there. We have to start at the foundation and build from that. And sometimes,
do you pray to God? Like, do you want to talk to us, your Father? Do you want to talk to a supernatural being? Do you want to talk to the universe? Like, those are the questions you answer at the or you ask at the very beginning.
Yeah, I heard it once said that, like, and I try to incorporate this. I try to not incorporate, but like remember this more often. I was listening to a mission president give instruction to a group of missionaries.
Yeah.
And they were talking particularly about testimony, and I think he was asking the missionaries, he's like, what would you want? What's something that if you could tell anybody anything, what's something, like, what's one of the more basic truths of the gospel? Before we get into the bigger, like, Christ being the savior of the world, kind of like what we might classify as
what's the millennium gonna look like? Like,
right?
We're going to heaven, all that stuff. Yeah.
And they said one missionary had said, or the mission president had suggested, what about being a child of God? And the missionary had said, well, the fact that we're all children of God, that we're all God's children, well, everyone knows that. And the mission president pointed out, no one knows that.
No,
that's the first thing we forget. Even
close. Do
you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's also my belief that that's the first. If I'm a person that's had, and I never had a negative experience with believing that God is a heavenly Father, and that suggests that there's heavenly parents, and this is like, in the secular world right now, it can be like extremely disorienting, and it's an aversion for people to even consider that, which is fine, because we also don't have to apologize for that. But we can state truth more simply, which is, if I can get someone to at least agree, I can get my head around the fact that you and I are brothers, that we're siblings. Spiritually, Are we spiritually like connected? We have something spiritually going on that's connected. Call it the universe. You can call it cosmic dust. You can call it the cosmic,
whatever you want,
solar flare of our hearts. You know what I mean?
When people understand that they're a child of God, that is so profound and so powerful. And there's so many people that don't understand that right now. It's
even agnostics historically, and I don't mean like currently, but like the first people that identified as Gnostics. That was one thing that, I mean, they were considered heretical because they were discounting the fact that they were discounting all the points of Christianity. But what they held on to, and was their foundation, was that everyone is divinely created, and that the kingdom of God is already here. Now, there's so much more than that, but as a spiritual foundation, I can get somebody, and even a person who's like, I don't need to worry about what other people think, like even once having a testimony and then forgetting. I was never like doctrinally at odds with the church ever. I always knew that it was true. I didn't know what to do with what was going on inside of me because I was ashamed. And here's another thing that was pointed out to me once, and this changed my whole thinking about the way that the world works, which is this. It's one thing there's a difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is feeling badly about doing something. Shame is a belief that I am bad and that I can never be good.
I would also add godly sorrow.
Right. Do you mean godly sorrow in terms of the guilt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Feeling that like you need to do something to change. Like,
right. Which is a good which is good
It's
because
good.
it's gonna.
It's
Yeah,
great.
that's,
Godly sorrow is fantastic.
but the temptation there is that if I'm feeling shame, there I have now chosen an inherent belief about me that I will never be good enough again. I've done too much.
Right.
That's the greatest lie ever told. That was the first. It was described to me as like when we think about and when we talk about Adam and Eve, we always talk about the first temptation, which is
Yeah.
the temptation to partake of the forbidden fruit. But we don't ever talk about what the second temptation was, which is that after they had partaken of the fruit and then they were about to be cast out, they were tempted to feel shame. The temptation was to run and hide. And
Yep.
they separated
Hide
themselves.
from your nakedness. You are naked. Go hide.
Yeah. So that's how good shame is as a tool to like just twist the whole thing from the very beginning.
Yeah.
If we can get people to feel shame, believe like who am I to believe that why would God want to have anything to do with me?
Yeah.
That's a decision in my illness of addiction. I arrived at that decision on my own. I didn't ask anybody. I definitely didn't ask God what he thought about it. I didn't ask God how he felt about me. Do you know what I mean? I just decided that. So now I'm, and that's the cycle of isolation, because the opposite of, and there's many people who are much more articulate on YouTube and all sorts of talks that talk about this, but like the opposite of addiction isn't sobriety. The opposite of the antidote to addiction is attachment. It's a healthy connection.
Yep.
Addiction is isolation. Addiction is separation. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Nah, you just made me cry, bro. Sorry.
What's coming up? What are you thinking about?
That's just, it's profound. Like everything that you just said is so true. I've gone through periods of that in my life, and it's been hard, you know. But trying to fight through all of that is, man, yeah. I don't know. I have no words for that. Just thank you. You just made me cry.
Yeah, we think that we need to fight first of all, we think we need to do it all ourselves. And then we think, I mean, you even kind of did it a little bit at the beginning. You're like, I forget what you were talking about. You said something, you're like, I gotta do this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe you were talking about your client who's like, I'm doing this for myself, which is the only place you can start. You have to want to do it for yourself.
Right.
But then you also then have to, I constantly, I'm a real, in my DNA, I have a real kind of, I want to be viewed by you as the I got it together guy. I just want you to look at me and go, oh, there's that guy.
There's Kendall.
He's doing all right.
We got it all together. We're good.
Like I can't delegate. That's hard for me. Like I want to just do it. I don't want to be a burden. But I also want to be seen as like competent. I want to be known as competent. However, what I don't want, if I'm living in that space, which is I want you to notice me, but I don't want you to see me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I don't want you to, not because I'm particularly like afraid of being vulnerable, but in that mindset, I don't have the words to describe what's going on inside. And I don't want to have to lie. So if you, like, when I first ever started going around to 12-step meetings, because I was trying to get sober, I was trying to do the right things for the wrong reasons and the wrong things for the right reasons. And it's all mixed up. And so I couldn't get sober by going to church, and I can't go to a 12-step meeting to worship God. I'm going to go to the 12-step meeting to be around people that can help me identify with what's going on, and I'm going to go to church to enjoy the points of doctrine of my belief that bring me peace ultimately. However, it took going to my journey was learning how to let it all go. I wasn't trying to get back to the missionary in his 20s who's got the who
Yeah,
fire.
the kid who's walking around knocking doors and trying to convince people that, Jesus is the Christ,
Right. There's nothing to get back to.
Right.
This we're starting. We're not born again. We're reborn. So because we're not getting rid of all of that stuff. Everything
Nope.
that's happened becomes
Do it.
super useful. Which, by the way, it turns out is in almost every memorable story in the Book of Mormon and the Scriptures. Is none of those people were perfect. And you know what else they didn't have?
None.
They didn't have perfect families either. None of them. None of them. They all had.
They had abusers.
They all had.
tie you up to a pole and smack you in the face with a rod.
Yeah, they all had generational trauma, and they had
Yeah.
probably addiction, and they had, you know what I mean? And we have these things now. We have these impossible standards that we hold ourselves to. No one gave us that. We just came up with that, and then we're hard on ourselves. And at one, I had to come to terms with that used to be a protective, and still could be, that's a protective factor for me. So if I'm overly hard on myself, what that really means for me is that you'll never be harder on me. It's a fear-based reaction.
Yep.
I'm afraid of being hurt because I'm ultimately afraid of being abandoned.
Yep.
Is the core belief. And then if I put myself down first, or if I'm hard on myself.
So the flip of that would be, how open are you to be accepting of love, for yourself, but from other people?
Yeah, depends on the day. As I focus on being of service, then I can see it. I have a much better chance of seeing it or being connected to it, because I'm trying to be and I don't mean big grandiose stuff. I mean just in small ways,
Yeah. Hey, let me tie your shoe.
Right. Just reach, or usually for me nowadays it's doing something or reaching out to someone. I'm oh, I'm not
It's
particularly.
hey, Tyson, let me be you a golf. I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah, Tyson be of service. Let us win a golf. You know what I
Seriously,
mean?
Tyson.
So I don't. Yeah, there's plenty of days where I don't feel it at all. I'm I'm really I really feel pretty
But
worthless.
is
Those days are
draining?
far less. Does that
Is
make sense?
that draining to you though, when those days are few and far between?
Yes, because because darkness and despair are
There's
draining.
lack of hope.
Lack of hope, and it's meant to be draining. That's why misery and woe, anxiety, depression, they are draining, because they are the lack of light. But
Yep.
but the hope of faith, or the substance of things hoped for, that type of Christ-like light that's in all of us, that shines brighter exponentially the more we get around other people with it, or
Yep.
seek to bring it out in others. So if
Yep.
I'm going to my 12-step meetings now that I go to, I'm not going so much anymore to, I'm not going to get anything. I'm going there for somebody new that comes in that doesn't have any hope, and I'm helping them to identify. And so in the church, when someone starts to feel the Spirit and we help them to identify, it's not just something you're feeling, it's specific. And
Right.
here it is what it is, and here's the person that it is, because here's the person that you are. And so not only are we identifying, we're helping someone else to identify what it means to help somebody else identify, because then they go,
100%.
Oh, I see it.
Oh, that's I mean that's the absolute light of Christ is intimately connected with every single human being you will ever meet. And that is the biggest thing that brings me joy with the work that I do when I'm working with people, is to bring that out and to show them that, like, the light is here, it's present, embrace it. This is this is godliness, you know?
Yeah, when I remember, I like the way that you phrased that, because when I remember that, then when I find myself, because what I struggle with sometimes is when I'm in non-denominational settings and we're talking generally about spiritual things, I start to get, I have to be, I want to, I want to tell everybody what's going on, but it may not be time.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I can't somehow still find ways to testify of truth. Here's
Yep.
the thing about testifying of truth. Whether they hear it or not or feel it or not, it's got nothing to do with me. I feel it, and
That's there.
something more grows inside of me. Whether it's, they may not even know what's happening, except it's my personal belief is that, like, you can't even say in the right context, you can't even say the name Jesus Christ without everybody will feel something.
Yeah.
And how they respond to it, they are going to feel it. Do you know what I was thinking about? And I need to, like, do a Google search or I don't know, do some type of search, but I was thinking about how often in the scriptures, how often it uses the word heart. And it's like hundreds.
Yeah.
And how often it uses the word mind in conjunction with heart. And do you know
Yep.
how many times the word brain shows up in the scriptures? 0. It makes no mention of the brain. It makes mention of the mind and the spirit and the soul and the heart. And
Yep.
thoughts arrive in your heart, and thoughts are planted into your heart, and your heart expands, and your heart, your chest, the burning in your bosom kind of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't say in your brain.
No, and hey, here's the thing. I'm a neurologist. I think about the brain all the time, but that's the biggest difference, is the heart and the mind. It's the consciousness. It's the soul is the meeting between, the spirit and the body, and the consciousness is the mind. It's not the brain. The brain functions the way it functions. I can tell you 5 ways to Sunday, like how that works and all that fun stuff. But no, what you're talking about is spot on.
Yeah, I think that that's interesting. And so if I can remember that about somebody else, especially people, and it's one thing to be around my friends and my family and people that I love and that I enjoy,
Right.
and my coworkers. But what about the more challenging people on my ministering list?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
about
It's the
the people?
people.
Yeah.
It's the people you run into in the street, and you just, you get to look at them in their eyes, and you get to engage with them and say, you know, you're
Actually,
you're my
yeah,
brother, you're my sister, I love you,
that interaction happens every day, and that's actually fine. The first interaction, running into people on the street, being around people, saying hello, being kind, not a problem. There's very little that deters me from that. It's just, like, I'm
Right.
just not. But I've started working with somebody, especially if, and I always judge most harshly the people that, like, any person on my caseload that is a white middle-aged male. That's the person that I'm going to, because I'm seeing something. They're the most, and not that it's about that demographic, but it's like,
Right.
you see the external first. Like, that's white middle-aged male, able-bodied,
Right.
that is still making poor choices, and you're like, what is wrong?
Yeah, it's
What's
like
wrong with you?
grab them by the lapels and be like, wake up.
Yeah, that's where it starts to get, because in those instances I put too much. I'm too much attached to an unfair expectation, or an
Yeah.
unexpressed expectation, or
Yeah.
um, and then I'm I'm the one. They're fine. They're just being whoever they're being in that moment, but
Right.
that makes me unsettled.
Yeah. Man. This has been awesome.
This has been way more, I agree, it has been awesome.
We didn't even get into what we talked about was getting into our text thread with our buddies and talking about stuff.
What I wanted to,
This
actually,
has been amazing.
let's,
Thank you,
I,
Kendall.
what I, in my head is I was like, yeah, the way I saw this going was because as we've been living in the text thread, just today has been quite a run. It started with, and I can't, this comes from a place of deep admiration, but with the, whatever goes on, I don't know what goes on in St. George, but man, they are serious about their costume contests. And so when Matt is sharing, Dr. Gertz is sharing about Doreen, and she's just begun the framework of her costume, and it's already like, look at this, look, here, I'm gonna pull it up.
What's the name of the Giselle? Is that who's the wise witch?
No, I think the witch
not
that she's
the wicked witch, but who's
yeah, from Wicked. I don't think that's who she's being. I think she's being a witch from this is what makes it even more specific, how like deep it's a witch from a book by Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl? Yeah.
Yeah, called I was Googling it. Also, Matt doesn't know how to post GIFs. There's like a ton of the same. What did he say? Roald Dahl. Anyway, I think she's being, it's like it's not just like the Wicked Witch of the West. She's being a witch from like a piece of a relatively obscure children's literature. Like, look.
Yeah.
Like that's like method acting. It's unbelievable.
Dude,
And
so here's an honest question. Dry run. How'd we do? You give me a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, in general with this?
Yeah.
Dude, thumbs up.
Dude, I agree.
How'd you feel about it? You probably have to go. We've been on for over an hour.
No. I loved it. This conversation has been awesome.
I was also I wanted to gently poke fun. We can do it on another recording. I wanted to there's a couple people on the thread, Matt and Tyson particularly, especially with golf, Tyson. But some of those guys have a real inherent like competitive thing, and there was one.
Number one.
Tyson is the person. Like I love Tyson.
He's the king of competitiveness.
I'll say he's the king of competitiveness. He's absolutely on my list of like, he's my absolute eternal brother. And sometimes I'm like, he's a complete sociopath. He's a total, he can be a real psychopath sometimes. I'm like, who this guy is? I'm terrified of him. Like he's got a real competitive thing, man.
That's so funny.
Him,
So funny.
Him and Matt and
Seth is pretty competitive. I know
Seth,
you don't know him too well, but Seth is he's competitive.
Tyson's the sociopath. Matt is like the brains of the operation, and Seth is hands down is an absolute psychopath.
Dan's a saint. We're glad he's safe after the hurricane.
We are.
Brad's he's on another level than we are.
Brad has turned into like I always like to compare people to characters like Brad is like Brad's like has become kind of this Gandalf character.
Yes.
To me,
he's Gandalf the Grey. I agree.
Yeah, he's Gandalf the Grey.
Brad's Gandalf the Grey.
Phil is the and this is how we'll end. We're going to talk about who's who in the group. I think Phil,
you tell me. I think Phil's the Hulk. You tell me who everyone else is.
From the Marvel vibe, Marvel comics, he's for sure the Hulk. I think he's more like, and this is because it's top of mind. I was watching the Olympics, not too many weeks ago. I think Phil's kind of like Snoop Dogg. He's the Snoop Dogg of the group. He's this total like anomaly human.
So
He-
funny.
Anybody else with a mullet like that is a you would go, there's something going on there. But he's a
His sense of humor and his logic is just chef's kiss.
he's like the young men's president,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But like,
100%.
but of course, that because nobody could beat him.
Who we got Chambers for? Who you got Chambers for?
Eric Chambers is like, oh, that's a good one. So he's kind of like, I want to say this might just because again, like top of mind kind of stuff. He's a little bit Elon. He's got a little bit of Elon Musk,
Okay.
where you're like, you hear him talk, and it's like there's something going on there. He's kind of on a spectrum of
Okay.
some sort. Not any spectrum that anyone's familiar with. He's got him on his own spectrum,
Right.
and you can't deny his genius and his intellect and
No,
his work ethic.
100%.
But then every
mean-
now and again, he'll just say something where you're like, oh, maybe that should. You might want to delete that. You know what I mean? That's Eric.
Okay, I got the list up. We got Brian McEwen and Bishop. Bishop McEwen, who we got?
Brian is like, well, aside from being the bishop of the group, Brian has somehow evolved from. I used to think that the adult of the group, like the adult, was Mark. You know, and he still is.
Yeah,
Brian
we'll
is-
get to him in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of mythical, or like what's the word? Not mythical character, but yeah, I want to say Brian is like. I mean, I'll go with Marvel Universe.
Yeah, Marvel Universe.
Because he's so positive. He's like he's got a little Paul Rudd, but he's not
Yes.
like Paul
Like
Rudd's a
Ant-Man?
little. He's got like a little Paul Rudd, and like Jim from The Office. He's got I would have said it some years ago, Jim from The Office.
Yes.
Just
What
so right.
So, what about Carstaddy? Carson Orm.
Carson is like, let's see, we've used The Office now, we've used Marvel Universe. I'm going to go music because I want to, like, Carson doesn't really know those. He doesn't know, like,
Yeah.
movies that well. He, maybe he'd be offended with that. He knows Disney movies. Oh, that's what he knows.
Yeah.
'Cause
Go Disney with
Oh,
Carstaddy.
okay, so he's one of the princes, but
Yeah,
like
Gaston?
not the super dashing ones because they're like they're not relatable. They're not that he's not good looking, but they're not relatable. But he's like you're like rooting for him and you kind of forgotten about him.
Eric. Prince Eric.
Oh, Prince Eric.
There we go. Prince Eric. We'll take. Dude, that's nailed. Okay. We
Go.
got World Cup. We got Chambers. Belisario. Mark.
Who did we say Dan was?
Dan.
Do you know who
Tell
Dan
me-
is? I know who
tell
Dan
me
is
who
real
Dan
quick,
is.
and we'll come
Okay.
back to Mark. Dan is. We're gonna the reference is if it's the Beastie Boys, Dan is not Ad Rock, and he's not Mike D, but he's the one that died of throat cancer. Adam Yauch. He's Adam
Adam-
Yauch because he'll
Adam.
just come in like kind of the way Ad Rock's the front man, and Mike D kind of brings his own energy, but
He runs through the Wilk dressed
Yeah.
up as George, right?
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, like out of the blue, he'll run through. You know, he would be like, I don't know. Yeah, that's who he is. He's the third Beastie Boy.
Okay, Mark Belisario.
R.I.P. MCA. Mark Belisario is like
Jesus.
he's
I
the.
don't have any other adjective.
I will
name
say it's been fun to
down.
see him turn into his like. He's so consistent. He's kind of the same, only more so. His ability to stay on a topic in a conversation is non-existent because he's so excited when he sees you. He's so excited to tell you. he wants to tell you everything that he's thought of since the last time he saw you. And that could be a long time. Like, but he wants to tell you everything. So he's like a cartoon character. He's like Woody a little bit. He's like a little bit of Woody and a little bit of Buzz Lightyear.
I like that.
That's not a perfect analogy, but like, do you know what I mean?
What about Dr. Gertch?
Dr. Gertch is just like this. Here's what, like,
he's got to be Iron Man, right?
Yeah, he's Iron Man. Like, because one of my recent memories of him, and I don't have a ton of interactions with him over the years, but we were, 2 years ago when we were all crammed into a vehicle going to the BYU game, and he had on those crazy Oakley sunglasses, the wraparounds that he wears. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I've always wondered, like, I was just like commenting on them. I've seen those, like, those look so cool. He's like, without a hesitation and without not even, like, he's just like, he takes them off. He's like, here, they're yours. He was gonna give them to me. He's like, here, you can have them. I'm like, no, dude, I just wanted to like try them on. Like,
that's Tony Stark energy right there.
Yeah, here, this is yours. Yeah. You can have it. Like, not a flex either. Not like I can just give out, these sunglasses, but he's just like,
what about,
so Tony Stark is that's who it is.
Okay, what about Seth McCune?
Seth is like
Nightwalker?
This is,
what's his name?
Did you ever see, it's not, I think it's PG-13, it might be R, but did you ever see The Usual Suspects?
Yes.
Okay. What's his name's character? The littlest guy. No offense, Seth. But here's who Seth is, and I don't mean it like this. This is just what came into my head. When they're describing, there's the voiceover person that's describing all of the people in the crew.
The narrator.
When he talks about the guy, he's the shorter guy with the beard, and he's like, that guy is is the person who, without question, doesn't care about anybody. Do you know what I mean? And it's not, obviously Seth cares about literally everybody in his life.
Yes.
But the way that they described him, so like, that's the guy that'll get
so good
it done. And like, that's meaning he looks like maybe not much, but it's for sure the guy to watch out for.
Yes.
And I turn that around. In my head, it's really complimentary.
100%. Did we already get Fuge? We got Fuge or no? Who's Fuge?
Tyson Furukawa is he's the A-list and on the.
Let's say he's Captain Marvel, the male version.
Yeah, he's the A-list.
He's female,
He's our A-list celebrity. He's like the Brad Pitt. He's kind of the George Clooney.
Yeah.
Kind of. But he's funnier than George Clooney. Like, he's if it was the Rat Pack, he's Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah, I'll take that 100%. That's Tyson for sure.
Yeah.
Kendall, this has been awesome.
This has been fun. I don't care if anyone listens to this or not.
Let's make a habit out of this. I'm down with it.
Every Thursday.
Let's go.
So is that room in your home, by the way?
No, it's in my office.
You're at your office. That's okay.
Small room, and then I'm here in my office right now, and I'm gonna head home right now.
This has been awesome, man. Thank you.
So grateful. I'm glad you spent the time. This was awesome.
This is really cool. We gotta have other celebrity guests jump in.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Okay.
All right, man.
All right.
Love you.
Bye.